So I know that Paddy Pimblett is quite popular in the UK, and so I'm not exactly sure if this video is about to get dislike bombed by some UK fans. Obviously, you can see from the title, this is going to be a video critiquing Paddy Pimblett. But before any of you get your feelings hurt or get really really offended or anything like that, especially if you're a big fan of Paddy, just watch the video, see what I have to say, and at the end of it, after you've heard what I've had to say, then give it a like or dislike. Preferably like, and preferably subscribing, of course, for more content like this. And I don't know how the North American fans are kind of with Paddy right now. I'm assuming some like, some don't. Here's the thing, okay? I am not saying that Paddy Pimblett is a bad fighter. I'm not, okay? I'm just saying I think he's slightly overrated based on some stuff that I've seen on his first two fights. One of the things I will say just before I get into the actual critiques that I appreciate the UFC is doing is obviously his next fight is booked against Jordan Leavitt, however you pronounce it, the guy who could do the cool splits after his fights. His next fight is booked against him. And I do appreciate the UFC taking a bit slow because, one of the concerns I have with Hamzat was when they leaped him from number 11 to number 2 in Gilbert. And he ultimately pulled it off, and I predicted he would win. And I'm still big on the Hamzat hype train, but man, that was a tough fight. And like I predicted, it was going to be a tough fight. Because, just jumping from 11 to 2, that's huge, huge jump. So, like Paddy Pimblett, obviously, I think the UFC is going to take it pretty slow. Sean O'Malley's more so by choice. I feel like he's taking it slow. He's talked about how he doesn't want to take on big fights if he's not getting paid big. So fine, that's Sean O'Malley's choice. Obviously, Paddy Pimblett has potential. He might, he has a lot of hype behind it right now. He might become the next big thing in the UFC. In the already stacked lightweight division, it's like, man, it's already stacked. Imagine we get another killer like him to come up who's super, super popular, and you have Conor in the division and then everybody else that we know. Man, it could get crazy. I don't think it's going to turn out to be like that, though. I think that Paddy Pimblett, once he starts getting a little bit higher in competition, I think he's going to start losing. I think some of the gaping weaknesses that we could see in his early fights, I think they're going to get exposed even more. So, before I get into the critiques, I will say this. Like I already said, he's popular. Oh, and by the way, before anybody else gets really mad, I have said many times in my videos, Paddy should already be getting paid in the six figures because of the amount of attention and popularity he has in the UK. His last fight in London or wherever I can't remember, in the UK, the people were there for him. Okay, I remember the crowd reaction. I saw it, the popularity, the numbers. Paddy, I know the contract is what it is. You signed it. He should be getting the six figures already. Different story for another day. The other positive thing I will say is the dude is obviously very tough and he's confident. Very, very tough, resilient. Even after he gets cracked, he comes back. And the dude is confident when he's fighting inside, outside the ring. He's confident. So I will give him some props. Now, in terms of the critiques, okay, his first two fights are against guys who are 1-3 in the UFC, not highly ranked. And one of the things I noticed about him is he got cracked hard in both of the fights. Not only did he get cracked, he, one of the things I noticed about him, his striking defense doesn't seem to really be there. He seems to leave himself quite open. If you think about people, hot prospects that I've seen a lot of, right? I've been watching for over a decade, so I've seen a lot of people come and go. If you just think about people like Conor McGregor, when he was rising up, Francis Ngannou when he was rising up, Volkanovski, Izzy, John Jones, Hamzat, many, many people when they're rising up. The type of guy where you're watching a fight and he has the hype and you're like, man, I see something here. Like, I think this guy can do it, okay? Take someone like Conor, okay? We'll just use Conor because a lot of people know him. It's easy to use him as an example. You guys remember his first couple fights, Marcus Brimage, Diego Brandao, Poirier, Seaver, and then eventually Mendez. During his rise up, have you ever seen Conor McGregor get cracked the way Paddy does? Let me just play this tape right here, okay? Huge, huge weakness. Luigi Vendramini, who is 1-3 in the UFC right now. Just watch this.
The Vendramini corner. Oh! Huge left.
And eventually, Paddy gets taken down. And then, he gets on top. And eventually, Paddy wins. And like I said, tough, resilient, able to come back, which is actually a very good feature to have. And it's something you will need if you want to beat people at the high level. But again, do you guys remember any of the prospects I just named getting cracked like that, having such a big glaring weakness like that? like showing it that early into their fights when they're fighting like super low ranked, unranked people. Nah, you don't remember that. You're not gonna be able to reference stuff like that. Rodrigo Vargas, who is 12-5, right? Yeah, 12-5. So this guy's almost a .50 fighter. This guy's almost a .50 fighter. Even him. Crack. And then he eventually, gets on top of Paddy for a little bit. And then Paddy comes back and wins. Again, very, very tough guy. Great. Let me just ask you guys a question, okay? You remember a lot of the other prospects don't get cracked like that, right? And I know what some people are going to say. Oh, Moose, what about Izzy? He had some tough fights early on. Yeah, why don't you show me 2 consecutive fights where Izzy took some serious damage early on against unranked people? Oh, Izzy had a hard fight against Marvin Vettori. Yeah, Marvin Vettori, who eventually is really, really good early on in Izzy's career. And did Izzy take some serious damage in that fight? You guys tell me. And Marvin's very good, okay? Marvin's not a .50 fighter, or someone like Luigi Vendramini, who maybe he will make it someday, but as of right now, he just ain't there. He's 1-3 in the UFC, right? And somebody's going to say, oh, what about Moose? What about when Francis fought Stipe? Yeah, when he fought the champion, he got exposed the first time. Yeah, when he eventually fought the champion, not an unranked person. You know what I mean? Oh, what about Conor had a tough fight against Mendes? Yes, against Mendes, who's a former title challenger, who was a late replacement person, a bad style match for Conor, and Conor still won. Right? Again, not early on. Title challenger for the interim title, former title challenger and Mendes for the interim title, late replacement, etc., etc. You're not going to be able to find too many comparisons about this. Oh, what about Hamza and Gilbert? Like, I'm not even going to get into that because that's such a ridiculous comparison. He's getting cracked against people who shouldn't be getting cracked against. He should be, again, if he was the type of prospect he is, with the amount of popularity he's getting, he should be beating these guys pretty thoroughly. And he does finish them, but he takes adversity when he's fighting both of these guys. Let's just look at the rankings, okay? Look at some of the guys who are in the lightweight division right now. Even with some improvements, does anybody here realistically see Paddy beating some of these guys? Armin Sarukian, Rafael Fiziev, Ferguson. I don't want to really count Tony because Tony's just in a different spot in his career right now. McGregor, I don't know. RDA, Dariush, Chandler, Makachev, Gaethje, Poirier, Oliveira. I don't even think he's close to being ready for any of these guys based on what I've seen here. And relative to his popularity, he's overrated. And Conor was very popular, but he was winning and beating the guys pretty thoroughly. You know what I mean? Like, he kind of had... It was justified. Volkanovski, when he was rising up, it made sense. John Jones, it made sense. Hamzat, his first couple, it made sense. Francis, it made sense. Whoever else, whichever prospect you want to use, it made sense. With Paddy, he has a lot of hype, but... Man, those first 2 fights, guys, you watch them, those glaring weaknesses. Now, this is not to say that he can't fix those weaknesses and eventually go on a crazy run and win the title. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying right here, right now, on June 8th, I believe he's slightly overrated. And I have a feeling that depending on how quickly or slowly the UFC allows Paddy to grow, if he starts fighting some of these top guys, it's going to be tough for him based on what I've seen. And again, he will get better every single fight, every single camp, so he could completely prove me wrong because I can't predict the future. But just based on what I've seen here in his first 2 fights, compared to other prospects, I don't know, guys. I think he's slightly overrated, and I think he's going to have some trouble. So, Mr. Luigi Vendramini, 1-3. Rodrigo Cazula Vargas, 1-3, and Vargas is almost a .5 fighter. Not the best showing, guys. Not the best showing you want to have when you're supposed to be a hot prospect. So that's my thoughts on Paddy Pimblett. I don't want to get into too long of a video ranting and raving against the guy. He could totally prove me wrong. Totally possible. He might prove me wrong. And if he does, I'll eat my words and say I was wrong. I've been wrong many times. A lot of people are wrong many times with these type of stuff. And by the way, just forgot to mention, Vargas was reportedly released, last month, which I didn't even know about. So these are the guys who Paddy gets cracked by and has to bounce back through a little bit of adversity with. So like the video if you liked it, And if you agree with what I said, or if you just enjoyed the content, like it and subscribe for more content similar to this. Hope you guys don't get too mad about this video, especially if you're a hardcore Paddy fan. I'm trying to give him credit, critique him, just give him my thoughts, all right? I'll catch you guys later. Subscribe for more. Peace.